Okay, gonna get this thing started here. Let people join up. It's 8:30 on the 5th of September. It's a Friday night. I'm sure a lot of people out at area high school football games tonight. Really warm, but no rain in the region yet. That's going to change over the weekend. We do have a somewhat active setup ahead of us, so wait, hang out here a couple minutes. See if the numbers go up just a little bit. I know Chris and the Blitz crew are getting ready for the Blitz tonight. Last week, week 1, lots of upsets, very surprising, wins and losses throughout a lot of the games last week. So it'll be interesting to see if the chaos, if you will, continues this week on the Blitz, which again starts right after our 10 o'clock broadcast tonight. I'm also keeping an eye on my fantasy team because I thought Chris was going to make an announcement over here. He just walked right by with urgency. Holt's Bolt's not looking good tonight in fantasy, Tony. Another guy just walked by. I had CD last night. It's all right. He had over 100 yards, but it could have been a lot more had it not been for those drops. So even the best can mess up from time to time. We're all human. But tonight I'm watching because I've got Pacheco with the Chiefs. He's one of my running backs. So doesn't look like it's a very high-scoring game. You would think it would be with the Chiefs, and I guess it's the Chargers. But I digress. We're going to talk about the weather here. So let me make sure the audio is good. It sounds like it is okay. We'll get started. So there's a front that's draped in, the northern part of the state, and this thing has got some cold air behind it. It's 56 in Amarillo right now, 8:33 Friday night. So look at Laredo. It's still 98 there. We're at 88 in Corpus Christi, but that front is going to be one of the pieces in play this weekend for this rain chance. There are several, which, that's good. We want as many encouragers of rain as possible when we have these chances. And that's going to be one of them. You see the rain that's in North Texas tonight. It stretches all the way up north of the Red River. There's some rain out in West Texas and way off to the top right of the map there. You can see that there are severe thunderstorms out toward Tennessee. So those moving away from us, we're not going to be in on that. But the front does work to the south. Unfortunately, no, it's not going to be in the 50s here. We're really not going to have much of an air mass changeover. But again, whenever there are boundaries in the area, they tend to be where some of the action is focused, which is why we're talking about this one in particular. I've moved the map to show out west in the Pacific. If you look at the Baja Peninsula, which is that long, skinny peninsula west of Mexico, you see that swirl on the wind. That's what's left of Lorena, which at one point was a hurricane a few days ago, but it is a shell of its former self. And it is not a threat here. We've been talking about this storm having a play on the weather here this weekend, but it's just the residual remnant energy and moisture. It's not the storm itself that's going to be coming. So maybe this could be a little bit misleading I got the arrow, coming off of that icon and into Texas. But what I'm trying to show is that the residual energy and moisture will be coming our way. And I'm just going to go back to this. You can see that happening already. You know, the spin's out by the Baja, but all of that rain, the clouds, that's the residual moisture and associated energy off of that storm. So we've also got the stationary front that'll be here, and tropical moisture will be rolling back in. If you were out this evening and looked at the sky, you know, last night it was really clear. Tonight, a few more of those fair weather cumulus clouds out there, and a sign that the atmosphere is moistening up, right? So more moisture in the atmosphere. This is the upper level energy now that we're talking about with respect to the chances for rain on the rise here. And this just sort of peels off of what was Lorena. And tomorrow, you know, I've got that area circled. That's the pocket I'm looking at. But tomorrow, you know, I think the coverage here is going to be lower than it will be on Sunday with respect to how many locations get rain. I got 40% Saturday, 60% Sunday. And tomorrow, a lot of that energy will be flowing through central and northern Texas. You see the yellows on the map. That's, in essence, rising air at about 20,000 feet up. And it's also got a little spin to it, a little counterclockwise spin. But, you know, it just, I think we're too far south of the best energy tomorrow. And that's because this area of high pressure will be basically to our west, and that's going to make the flow around it with respect to where that high is. The energy is going to be moving more west to east rather than northwest to southeast like it will on Sunday. So that high moves west, even farther west, and you see how the wind around it changes because, you know, our positioning with respect to where the high is, and that will allow some of these little ripples of energy to work more to the south, right? So you get northwest to southeasterly motion in that level of the atmosphere. And, you know, a little ripple of energy could lead to a few showers and thunderstorms in the area. That's on Sunday, and that's why, at least, you know, in our forecast, we've got Sunday, we're pegging that day to be the most active with respect to rain in the coastal bend. So into tomorrow, this stationary boundary comes in. It settles into the region. Got a 40% chance for rain Saturday. I think a few more on Sunday, so we up it to 60%. And then into Monday morning, this starts to get a little farther to the south. And, you know, the farther south that front gets, the drier our atmosphere is going to get. So if this thing can linger a little more to the north Monday, we may have a slightly better chance for rain in the morning, but if it's more to the south, rain chances will not be looking great on Monday with drier air lurking to the north. So that's the regional view. We'll get into some of the numbers now. And sometimes, you know, I'll make maps, like a forecast map where I'm saying in this part of the area, expect this much rain. In this part, you know, it's going to be a little less. Over here, it's going to be a little more. With this, I don't see a clear-cut trend on how, you know, the rain's going to be distributed. I think it's going to be random. It'll be hit and miss. Best chance on Sunday. And totals, I think, a reasonable amount to expect, 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch. So we're not talking about drought-busting rains. We're not talking about, you know, a repeat of 4th of July weekend up in the hill country. We're just not talking about that. This energy is going to move fairly steadily right on through. So back in July, this upper level residual energy off of a tropical system, it stayed all weekend long from Thursday night through like Monday, and it just stayed in central Texas and dropped multiple rounds of extremely prolific and heavy rainfall. This is not the same. This will not be the same setup. That upper level energy is going to be moving at a decent clip. So it's not just going to sit there over the same spot. After Monday, I really think the rain chances next week are pretty dismal, moving forward. So show you a little more detail here about what some of the weather guidance is suggesting. And you see the 4 models that we're showing here, the Euro, the North American Mesoscale model, that's the NAM. Then we've got an in-house IBM model. It's called the Graph, Graf, and then the GFS in the dark blue there, coming in with the least amount of rain. But you can see that all of them are indicating rainfall in Corpus Christi through Monday. So the takeaway here is you see where those lines start to rise and where they stop rising. So on Saturday, that's when those lines begin to go up, and then they begin to level off on Monday morning. The Euro wants to throw a little bit more in on Monday than the rest of these guys, but I think by Tuesday we're done, and the best chance to me looks like it'll be on Sunday for the reasons we just talked about with respect to the upper level energy coming more at us on Sunday. And with every rain event, for the most part, there's a boom or bust quality with it. Some locations get more than that forecast range of 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch, and some get less. It's just the way it goes. And the coverage is not expected to be at 100%, meaning not everyone will get rain, right? We're at 60% coverage, so that's it. The counter to that is 40% don't get rain on Sunday, which is the best chance for rain that we're going to see. So it's very difficult to try and communicate that. I get it when we have these rain chances and you happen to not get rain. It's frustrating. I get frustrated when my house doesn't get rain, but I understand that when I'm looking at the radar and there are showers and storms in the area that 60% is happening, I'm just in that 40% group that's not getting it. So I get it, the feelings, but it's just the way it goes when it's not a full-blown everyone all skate getting the rain. So I would say that if you end up with over 2 inches of rain, this would be a boom. It is exceeding expectations. It would be a boom on the expectation on what we're forecasting, at least with respect to rainfall. If you get less than 1/10 of an inch of rain, I would consider that a bust. I think that if you get one of these showers or storms, it's going to drop more than 1/10 of an inch of rain. So that's the thinking there. And I do think that most every location will get some fashion of rain at some point over the 3-day span, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So, there are 3 days where there will be some rain in play. Tonight, no big deal. Tomorrow morning, no big deal. But I do think that as the day goes on tomorrow, this stationary front starts to creep in to the area. Daytime heating starts to activate. The sea breeze gets going. And as we head toward lunchtime, there are going to be some budding showers or storms. You may see the towering cumulus clouds popping up. As the day goes on Saturday, I do think about 40% of the region is going to be picking up on some rain. So Saturday, it'll be hit and miss. If you got plans, just be aware. I don't think you need to cancel anything. Just know that there's a chance that you catch a passing shower or storm. Looks like activity dwindles a little bit into Saturday afternoon. Then it gets quieter Saturday night, but pre-dawn Sunday, we may catch a little flurry of showers or storms. We were talking about how weather happens a lot of times around boundaries, and we'll have this murky stationary front, and that may be the catalyst for a few showers or storms on Sunday morning. Remember, Sunday will be the day where I think the best energy will be working in up high in the atmosphere. So Sunday, is it going to rain all day? No. There's going to be periods where there's nothing, no activity, I think, at parts of the day on Sunday. That could happen around the noontime hour. It just kind of depends on what happens in the morning. But then in the afternoon, scattered showers and thunderstorms. And that's the take. So that's how it looks. That's how it looks to my eye on all of this. I know there's not that many people watching right now for good reason. You should be out hanging out with friends, art walk, football games, things like that on a Friday night. But just wanted to give that as an update. I know sometimes people watch this later on our streaming platforms, 3 News Plus. If you're watching there, we really appreciate you. You have found the good stuff with respect to a lot of our longer form coverage. And then this will also be on YouTube, with the live streams. There's all these categories on YouTube, your videos, your streaming, I don't even know what else, but this one will also live there. So after Monday, it looks like things quiet down. So hopefully we squeeze out as much rain as possible from this little episode. And we'll see where we end up come Monday. If you're just now logging on, like Rosie, missing out on what you're talking about, I suggest rewatching because I'm going to log off right now. We just did a whole spiel. And we'll catch you also on the 10 o'clock news Blitz with Chris Thomason. Will also be airing with all of his, I think, 9 games tonight on the Blitz. So he's got a full schedule. And that's going to be happening immediately after our broadcast. It's the best local high school sports show with the football games that you can find. Nobody does it better than Chris. So watch that. Have a great weekend. We'll see y'all when we see you.